and patches stories grow, stitching secrets we all know. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time, a spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Stephen and Walter, our life. Sewing tales with every square, buttons falling everywhere. A crooked seam, but who will care? Iron presses line so neat, friendship's quilt can't be beat. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time, a spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Stephen and Walter, our life. Sewing tales with every square, buttons falling everywhere. A crooked seam, but who will care? Iron presses line so neat, friendship's quilt can't be beat. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time, a spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Stephen and Walter, our life. Our Stitch by stitch they weave the tale, a patchwork life where laughs prevail. Patterns clash, but who can tell? Quilted chaos suits us well. Stephen and Walter live on air, threading humor they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings, life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around, it's a show where joy is bound. Stephen and Walter live on air, threading humor they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings, life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around, it's a show where joy is bound. Stephen and Walter live on air, threading humor they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings, life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around, it's a show where joy is bound. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of our live. And I see some familiar ones here that I saw yesterday. We saw yesterday on my birthday bash. And those of you that didn't show up, I hate you. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so Let us see. Is everything working here properly? Just waiting to see if my monitor picks up that our sound is working. Mute is off the microphone. Yep. Yes, everything is working fine and dandy. Okay, that is great. So let's see who's joining us. We've got Cynthia right off the top. Cynthia was a prize winner yesterday, and looks like she's already cashed in her prize. She got a code for a free Adam Sews pattern from Adam's site. Adam was here yesterday. So was John of Art East, and both of them donated very generous prizes for it, and I didn't ask them to. They just did it on their own volition, and that was very, very nice of both of them. I love them coming on to my stuff. They always bring prizes. Charlotte's here. Hi, Charlotte. And Faith is here. Charlotte says the birthday bash was fun and I got lots of sewing done. Well, that's good, Charlotte. Gloria is here, and Dubrovka is here as well with Al. And Shadow Wind is here. Dan is here. She says, greetings to all from Regina, Saskatchewan. Already feels like 43 degrees C at 2 p.m. Well, you're having a hot one, Dana, because we're only at 27. So yeah, it's actually quite pleasant here. Suzanne is here, and Inez is here as well. And Inez says it's 10 on the rock. So we have the extremes.
Nice and cool.
Yeah, nice and cool. You don't have to worry about air conditioning. Yeah. Let's see here. Oops. Dana says yesterday was so much fun. Yep, it was. I got a lot done too yesterday, in spite of all the things I had to do while it was going on. And Karen is here as well. Joanne G is here. And Beverly is here as well. Thank you, Beverly. Jeannie's here. And Caroline is here. Thank you for a wonderful day, she says, yesterday to celebrate your birthday. And thank you, Caroline. And Arta is here too from San Diego. We share a birthday month. I'm the 16th. Happy birthday, Stephen. Well, thank you, Arta. But
Happy birthday to you.
But I don't care. Nobody else's birthday matters on July. Only mine. Didn't you get the memo? All people that have a birthday in July must either put it in August or have it in June, because the month is mine. It's exclusive. It's mine. It's me. It's all about me. Yeah. Judy's here from Southern Michigan, and Betty Kennedy as well. So a few other people will probably be joining us as we go on, and we'll say hi to them when they do. So what are we going to start with here? What we usually start with, what I've been working on, then what Walter's been working on, and I'm not going to say a heck of a lot about what I've been working on, but I'm just going to throw it up here on the screen, my design wall. So I've got about 3 projects up there. Not doing too bad. The one in here in the center is the 3rd chapter of Art East. Second star to the right, the Peter Pan one. This is the character John. Got his body, got his head, but there's more to do with John. So that will take some time. And these stars come from a pattern by Adam of Adam Sews called the Jelly Roll Stars. And I've altered it slightly, and I talked a little bit yesterday when we got together for the pop-up about why I'm altering it. Not because I do not like his pattern. It came to me that maybe I should try this for some reason. I'll talk more about that on Tuesday on the Idiot Quilter. And these little squares over here aren't anything yet. Obviously they're Christmas. They're poinsettias. And I've got a few more of those to make, and it's going to become a table runner eventually. Now, I don't know how I'm going to position these squares yet. I have a few more I have to make, and then I'll go from there. The pattern isn't a pattern. It's just these squares that were on. I think I bought them on OESD. I think it was OESD. And I bought them as individual blocks, but I got thinking, well, they would probably make something like a nice table runner. So I'm working on that gradually too. So again, these are all things that I'll talk about in a little bit more detail and my ideas about them come Tuesday on Idiot Quilter. Walter's been busy. Let's go back here. How come you're out of frame? There we go. Walter's shirt. It's his.
Yeah, I sort of finished this shirt. I'm saying it's sort of finished because I haven't put a pocket on it. And I haven't decided yet whether I will or not.
Debate, debate, debate.
I may.
You may. You may. Well, you matched up. No, I quite like that. Now that I see it as a shirt as opposed to the fabric.
Yeah, I saw it at Ultimate Sewing, and I sort of resisted buying it for a couple of times, but then I thought, yeah, I kind of like it. I'll buy it. And yeah, it's nice and
it's very fresh, and
Yeah.
you can hide in the bushes.
but you don't really. Yeah, I know it's camouflage, especially in ferns.
Yeah.
If Steve probably wouldn't like it because it's not blue.
No, I like other colors too. Actually, I'm looking at that now and thinking, oh, maybe I should get back in green. There was a stage I went through when I was a teenager about green. Maybe that's why I'm not as much into it anymore as I once was. But yeah, Walter's working on a shirt. But Walter's also been working on his free motion quilting. And if you saw So Chatty,
Yeah, I'm
on
beginning to get a little bit more
Friday,
into it.
well, he's doing more elaborate. How come I can't get that to move? There we go. So we showed this on So Chatty on Friday. His border treatments, his feathers.
Yeah, I got a little screwed up at the corner when I went around the corner, and I got a little screwed up towards the end on this one too. So that I still have to get my mind working the right way. So
Oh, there's the right way to work your
Yeah.
mind. Oh, and then
I tried to do flowers. It wasn't too bad,
Wasn't
but
too
it's still
bad.
not. They're a little wonky.
funky flowers. Now they're coming along. It's a little more practice. It's going to look pretty good. And that, so yeah, I think we're getting ready to try it on. What, your next one, you want to try it on that big print of that
Yeah,
big
I'm
giant
gonna
flower thing?
advance this one and do some more on it in the next day or so, and then maybe we'll try a real
A real one?
yeah.
A real one. Okay. Put that there. So yeah, well, there's a couple of practice quilts out there you can work on too after you do the flower
Yeah.
one. Let's see. Did anybody else come in? Yeah, Pat Wainwright is here. I don't have Zoom, so I don't join anyone. Glad you have a nice party. Hot here in New York State. Well, Pat, come into the 21st century. You've got to get Zoom.
Well,
Is
actually, you
free.
don't technically need Zoom.
No, actually, you don't.
You just log in.
You just log
And,
on to it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the link. You log on. You don't necessarily need Zoom.
Yeah, you don't need anything like that. So, yeah, and it costs nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you should give it a try, Pat. Branka says, hello to you all. Hope you're having a nice day. Yeah, so far so good. Adam's here. Hi, Adam. Adam has a new release next week. And I'll be talking about that release on Tuesday on the Idiot Quilter. Inez likes your shirt. Faith says, oh, the poor gnome's feet are shut in more than one door. Ouch. You know, honey, our eyes are up here. Forget about my gnomes. They've been bad. That's why they got their feet slammed in the door. That's how I discipline them. Sue Norfleet's here. Hi, Sue. Adam says, oh, he's addressing Cynthia Marie. Thanks for your choice of pattern. It should be in your inbox. Okay, there you go. Joanna is here. That's Designing Jay. Dubrovka says, our new kitchen will be green and white. Stylish, Walter.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
New kitchen, too. Didn't you get
Yeah.
new bathrooms as well?
Yeah, no, she was talking about getting a new kitchen last
Yeah,
week
I
or
know,
whatever.
but I thought also she mentioned new bathrooms at
Yeah.
one point or whatever. But anyways, it sounds like you're coming along really nice with the renovations. We haven't started. Adam says, doing good, Walter. You'll be getting requests soon. You'll have to get an agent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
The way I procrastinate, I doubt.
He doesn't-
Somebody will give me a quilt to do it. It'll take a year to do it.
Yeah, you don't need an agent. You have one word for them. No,
Yeah.
go away. Betty says the green looks good on you, Walter. Makes you look nature boy out in the bushes. So anyways, that's what we have been sort of up to. So coming events, well, we've got sewing with me on Wednesdays. Walter's often here. He just doesn't come on. He's busy.
Yeah, busy doing stuff around the house or whatever.
Nobody knows what it is he's doing. It's a mystery, but yeah, he's busy.
Well, I still got take the deck apart.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to get that done soon.
Yeah, well, take out those panels so we can
Yeah.
get rid of the hot tub. Yeah. We had a gutter guy come this week and clean out our gutters. That was good. There was a lot of crap in those gutters. What do you do?
Actually, there wasn't that much in there, but he
What do you do with this stuff?
well, he took it. He dumps it.
He takes it away too.
He takes it away.
Oh, wow. Geez, that's a bonus.
I thought
he
made sure that our downspouts were working properly and everything. So we had a problem with them overflowing when it rained hard, and yeah.
So did you ask him anything about an additional downspout or?
Yeah, I did. He said technically our downspouts are supposed to handle it, but the thing is that we've got a really high pitched roof, and the water comes down really fast when it rains hard. So I want to get our east house replaced at some point, and see about getting an additional downspout.
Well, anyways, that's 2 jobs down in our fence posts that we're leading. They've all been straightened up and they're doing fine. And now the gutters are cleaned out. So I guess the next big project is getting rid of the hot tub. And that's a big job. So, of course, we're not doing it. We need somebody to do it for us.
Yeah. So that's why I want to take the panels of the deck out, because I don't know if it's going to run any snags doing that. So, and I want to do that before I call somebody to try and get them to get.
And then all the squirrels and skunks and bunnies will all go, ooh, look, open space, let's go. And we'll come down one morning, it'll look like a scene from Bambi or Cinderella or Snow White. That's it, Snow White, where they're all sitting around, looking in or sitting in there, chewing up her furniture. Yeah, whatever, nasty little buggers. Chipmunks will love it.
The chipmunks can get in now.
Well, that's true. They can. Those little suckers can get in anywhere. Doesn't matter where. Dubrovka says, yes, new kitchen and bathroom. See,
okay.
I knew they were doing a bathroom. Sally's here. Hello, Sally. So, let's see. I've mentioned sewing with me on Wednesdays. Links in the show notes. So, yes, let's talk a bit about the Stephen's Birthday Bash pop-up sew day. It was a good day. I think everybody that came had a good time. There were prizes, lots and lots of prizes. And I've already mentioned, thanks to Adam, thanks to John of Art East for their donations to that. And yeah, it was a good day, I think. I mean, it's kind of hard this time of the year when the weather's nice outside. You don't necessarily want to be trapped indoors sewing. But I thought there was a decent turnout. At one point, I think there was about 30 people there. So that was good. Next pop-up sew day, don't know. Probably in the early part of August. There won't be prizes at that one, sorry. But yeah. And those of you that were here yesterday you did hear me mention to John and to Adam about a plan that I have, or an idea that I have for a plan that involves them. I'm not going to say anything more about that. I'm letting them think about that before I get them to commit. And they will commit to it. I'm just making them think they have a choice in it. Okay, so last week on Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen, talked about projects because they're everywhere, as you've seen on my design board. But I have a table over on the far side filled with projects, and a lot of them are embroidery things I want to do. I'm thinking Christmas right now. And yeah, I'm not thinking about specific projects for specific people, but I'm just getting started on things and stockpiling them because you can't start too early. And we'll talk about that on Idiot Quilter too. I've also got a few things on the 3D printer that involve Christmas as well. And we'll talk about that tomorrow on Monday Morning Coffee. On the Idiot Quilter last week, we did talk about whether or not it's too early for doing your Christmas sewing. In my opinion, no, it is not. And what annoys me, and I mentioned it, is the fact that I can't get Christmas fabric yet from some of these places. And, you know, I want Christmas fabric. Some of them are holding out until after Halloween. In my way of thinking, that's way too late for that, because you need time to get your projects done. But anyways, we'll see what happens. And we talked on So Chatty about quilt kits. And right now, well, as we get into the fall, that's when you start to see a lot of quilt kits come out of hibernation, because they're starting to play on people's, you know, Halloween things they might want to make, or Christmas as well, for that kind of thing. And a lot of people go to the quilt kits because they think, one, they're going to be faster, and two, in some things, sometimes people think they're cheaper. And we talked all about that yesterday on but on Friday on So Chatty. And yeah, the ins and outs of buying quilt kits. So that was everything from last week. Em's here. Hi, Em. And let's see. Adam says he went down an Instagram reel rabbit hole yesterday of a couple that have a family of raccoons living in their chimney. Oh, that's always nice. Well, build a fire. Roasting chipmunks. Joanna says it was a good day. Thank you. You are welcome. I said hi to Em, and Barb is here, and Judy's here as well. So they're coming in. Grant's here. More people piling in right now. You're late. You should not be late. No. Okay, so today, well, what's happening in Canada? Lots of things are happening here in the news. So let's pop the news up here and take a look. There's some kind of things that are bugging me this week. Let's see, go here. Okay, so apparently we have bought submarines, and we bought them from Germany, and which is, I guess, a good thing. It says, following an emergency July 10th, 2026 bilateral agreement between Canada and the United States to resolve a diplomatic standoff over funding, U.S. President Donald Trump cleared the bridge to official... Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong one. That's about the bridge. We'll come back to that. We're doing our part for NATO, apparently. We're sticking a lot of money into NATO because we were accused of not holding up our end of the bargain, supposedly. I don't know. But anyways, Carney has made a deal with Germany to get all these super elaborate submarines. And I think they're going to be built, or at least part of them are going to be built in Canada, which is good because that employs people. And they are specially designed to handle the Arctic, because I guess the Arctic is a hotbed of controversy right now. We own most of the Arctic, although Trump doesn't think we do, but we do. But it's very undefended. So, you know, now there's the worry that, well, with the way Russia is these days, they could, you know, I don't put on their snowshoes and march across the ice cap or something and invade us all. So maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows what they do? But anyways, this is what we're putting our tax dollars towards, is submarines. I don't know. I guess we need them. I don't know. Anything that's related to possibility of any kind of war, I'm not really for. But then again,
nowadays you have to,
I guess,
defend
you have
yourself
to,
against other
yeah, I know. That's
countries.
the thing.
It's not just like we're the only country. So
no, I know. It's a sad state of affairs that we find ourselves in these days. So there's a whole thing just happened, and I think it happened kind of quietly.
Yeah.
Because suddenly it just appeared in the news. You know, there's this controversy over the new international bridge between Canada and the United States, the Gordie Howe Bridge.
That's between Windsor and Detroit.
Yeah, Windsor and Detroit. And the Canadian government funded the entire thing. Not an American nickel went into the building of this bridge. And the deal was that once the bridge was opened, there would be a toll on it, and that toll would be collected by the Canadian government until the bridge expenses were paid down, and then the toll would be split 50-50 with the state of Michigan. And Michigan was all for that and thought that was a great plan. Of course, you know who, the Great Orange Pumpkin, didn't like that because his good buddy who owns the Ambassador Bridge, which is the existing bridge right now, which will still be there, it's a privately owned bridge by this rich guy, and he's making billions off it all the time.
And he's a major donor to the Republican Party. So.
Yeah. So he went to Trump when he heard about what we were doing with the funding.
Well, actually, he's been opposed to the actual building of the bridge from the start. And so every chance he gets to complain about it, he can't.
Yeah. And so they were supposed to open the bridge in sometime in late June. They put that on pause. There's been some discussion with the Americans. I don't think we needed any discussion with the Americans. It's not their bridge. They didn't put a cent into it. And in fact, there were American workers hired to build the bridge on the American side, and they did use American steel. They bought.
Yeah, and they also used American workers too.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Were you asleep?
No, you said American steel. You didn't.
And I
say
said workers.
Oh, okay.
Americans were hired. But either way, but all of that was on our dime.
Yeah.
Not on the Americans' payroll. But, you know, Trump. So anyways, I guess they've made sort of a compromise. They call it the 25% breakaway discount. Now, I had to look this up to see exactly what this is all about.
Well, I thought that was originally the plan anyway, because what it is you can pay a toll individually when you cross the bridge, right?
Yeah.
Or you can get this an electronic tag or something.
They get you 25% off.
They get you 25% off.
Yeah. Both the Canadians and for Americans crossing it. So then they have this regional cross-border pricing match to protect competitive fairness. The newly signed treaty dictates that the Windsor-Detroit Bridge, that's authority, must secure explicit U.S. approval to increase tolls by more than 10%. It also prevents Canada from cutting tolls below rates charged by the nearby privately owned Ambassador Bridge. So basically, there's the rich guy is still going to get his money.
If somebody takes his bridge.
Yeah. Or tries to. And then they talk about, this is the breakaway thing again, the cashless open lane. So basically you have a automatic toll lanes, you know, like they have on some of the toll roads in the United States where you have this pass, it's electronic, you just zip through kind of thing. Although I don't know how that would work because you still have to go through customs.
Yeah, you still have to go through customs, but you don't have to stop at a toll booth and pay.
Oh, to pay. Right? Yeah.
I mean, it's like us traveling on our toll roads and stuff. We have a transponder that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Okay. But when last time we ever crossed over and we went on the Ambassador Bridge,
we had to stop at a toll
Did we
booth.
actually have to stop? I thought yes, we gave them that's right, we did. So I guess that makes things faster.
Yeah.
With it all. What really pisses me off is I don't care what way they put this. I still think we did a little bit of backing down to Trump. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I can think of that why they've allowed this, and I'm trying to think, how does this work? Who owns the bridge? It was funded by the federal government, but it's in the province of Ontario, so it actually comes under the jurisdiction. I thought
no, half of it's in Ontario, the other half's in Michigan.
I know, but I thought came under the our part came under the jurisdiction of our provincial government.
Yeah, that's true.
So there must be a deal between the provincial and the federal government. Well, the federal government funded it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess. I don't know with it all. But the only thing I can think of is that Carney is kind of doing that softening Trump up for the kill. Mm-hmm. You know, making a bit of a concession here. And I don't know if it's a major concession either.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think there was really, from what I read about the tolls in the first place, I didn't think that it was really a big difference.
So he's letting Trump think he's won a victory over us when he really hasn't. So I don't know. There's got to
I mean,
be
if
method
the
and
tolls
madness.
have been lowered, then it'll take longer for them to pay the bridge.
Well, that's true. It will. But anyways, time will tell. So I guess it's supposed to open on July the 27th. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm sure when it does open, there'll be pomp and circumstance all around it. And Trump will probably try to claim that, he has done this for, the betterment of the economy and the people of the United States, because he always takes credit for everything. Um, that's just the kind of person he is, as we know. Um, let's see. There's some discussion here, so let me just come back here and so we can see the discussion before we move on. Let's see. Randy says, and which is Randy and Sue. Happy 39th birthday, Stephen. Thank you. You're now my best friend. Sue couldn't join on Saturday. She was out of it due to surgery at the beginning of the week. Oh, that's so well. She's doing well, though. That's good to know. And likes your shirt. Nina is here. Hi, Nina. And Chris is here as well. Adam says, we have the Elizabeth Bridge in the UK on one of the busiest motorways that was paid off years ago in tolls. Guess what? They kept the toll even to this day. You still pay to cross it. Yeah, it was a good money maker, right?
Well, even when the bridge gets paid off, there probably will
still be a toll.
It's just then the American government will take some of the money of it as well.
Yeah, so the world of high finance. It's a con. They realize now it's pure profit. Oh yeah, sure it is. I mean, you're trapped, right? You got to get across, so you're going to pay. It's, it's not brain surgery to figure that one out. But as usual, it's us, the people, that get stuck with everything. But anyways, we will see what happens from all of that. We're not going to be using the bridge for a while yet, if ever. So, meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, our prime minister has gone to Saudi Arabia, and he's trying, of course, he's doing what he is doing best. He's making deals all over the place for trade. And it's the first visit by a Canadian prime minister in 26 years. Apparently, we do not like we have issues with their human rights. They don't want women to have an education, treat them as second-class citizens, are not very supportive of the LGBTQ community, a whole bunch of other things like that. And so Carney is now, by the bleeding heart liberals out there, is coming under attack for this. But he is saying that we need to make these deals. And he also said that maybe by making a commercial deal with them, that we can sort of weasel our way in to help to changing their human rights decisions. That's to be seen with that. But I don't think that's on the top thing on his list. It's to secure our economic future. He says he secured over $1 billion in commercial agreements, marking a notable strategic shift in trade partnerships among growing protectionist policies globally. So, yeah, he's a great negotiator when it comes to this kind of stuff. He knows business. But then we have this bitch, this Congresswoman, Claudia Tenney. She introduced something called the Canada Act, she's in New York, directing the U.S. Trade Representative to investigate Canadian provincial bans on American alcohol. Provinces like Ontario and Quebec halted sales of U.S. liquor in 2025 to retaliate against U.S. tariffs, prompting, thank you for the cue, U.S. lawmakers to demand American products returned to shelves. Okay, let's just talk about this for a minute. Okay, Americans get accused of being very arrogant. This proves it. Here we go. We do not have any agreement with the United States about liquor sales. This is done by the LCBO in our province, which basically is somewhat of a private business, but it's a private government business. They negotiate with companies all around the world for their wines and their liquors. You know, France, Spain, Chile, Argentina.
And there's nothing that says on the books that we have to buy from any particular
No.
country. So they did take it off the shelves. We used to sell U.S. Liquor, but they took it off the shelves when the
Tariffs.
Trump put tariffs against our steel and aluminum products.
It was a retaliation move.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's some state people there that are like this one who are demanding. They're not asking, they're demanding we put it back on the shelves. Apparently in California, their sales of wine and liquor to Canada have dropped significantly, and we are the largest consumer.
Well, we were the largest consumer of American alcohol and wine.
Yeah,
in the world.
In the world, we were like, as one country, something like 40% of it all we bought. And now, yeah, of course it's hurting, and it's supposed to hurt. You know, we're not doing this without a reason. The reason is against Trump.
But you know what's happening now is Canadians have gotten so used to not being able to buy U.S. products that there's a feeling that if they did reintroduce U.S. products onto the shelves, that people still won't be buying it.
Yeah. And in fact, the vineyards and wineries in Ontario alone have seen a great increase in their production and their sales. People are turning to Canadian wines, and we do make good wines. There's been a stigma for years. I don't know if as of in the last maybe 10 years or so, but at one point in time, most Canadians didn't buy a lot of Canadian wine because we all went, ooh, poo-poo, with that. But that has changed over the years. We have got some of the best wines in the world now. And people are coming back to them and trying new ones all the time. Even our Costco sells Canadian wine. A few other countries too, but they don't have any American wine on their shelf.
Well, no, they don't, because all of the wine supply has to go through the LCBO.
Yeah. So even though they're an American company,
yeah, all alcohol products in Ontario, and then Quebec has their own body for purchasing alcohol.
Yeah.
But in Ontario, all of our alcohol has to go through the LCBO.
Yeah. Well, you can bet that our premier and the premier of Quebec are just laughing their little heads off.
By the way, LCBO stands for Liquor Control Board of Ontario. So
yeah, I'm not sure what Quebec's is called.
No, it's probably something in French.
More likely. Le LCBO.
Le Quebec.
Le LCBQ. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah. But they're really upset with us, these ones. Well, guess what? You know, your president is talking to us about us being 51st state. You're putting tariffs on our stuff and everything like that. You're not going to renew Kuzma and the whole bit. What do you think we're going to do? We're going to lay down and die for you? No. Although it seems that a lot of Americans, the ones that are in power, think that's exactly what's going to happen. And we're showing them, no, we are not.
The alcohol one in Quebec is the SAQ.
The SAQ. Oh.
SAQ.
Okay.
Société d'Alcools de Quebec.
Oh, all right. Well, this Canada Act thing says the legislation, Representative Tenney introduced the Canada Act calling for a Section 301 investigation into provincial restrictions on U.S. alcohol. She doesn't need to spend any money on that investigation. We can tell her what the outcome is. Yeah, we decided not to put it on the shelves. End of investigation. You can't do anything about it. U.S. demands. Lawmakers, including Senator Schiff, whoever that is, cite devastating harm to U.S. producers from the 2025 boycotts. Aww. My heart bleeds. Not for that. We already talked about that part. So our position in Ontario is provincial officials indicate that sales of U.S. products will not resume until trade tensions, particularly regarding Kuzma agreement and tariffs, are resolved. And local benefit, the restriction on U.S. imports has led to increased market share and sales for domestic Canadian craft producers, which we were talking about. So this is a good move for us in Canada.
And Air Canada has announced that they are cutting more flights from Canada to the U.S.
Yep.
in the coming year as well, because there's less interest in Canadians going to the U.S.
Yeah. However, if you listen to some news reports from the United States, they're saying that, oh, more and more Canadians are now coming back to the U.S. No, it's not true. It's not true. Which basically leads me to today's topic about the media. So, media, friend or foe? Where do you get your news? Now, I know there are many people out there who don't watch the news at all because they can't stand it. I get that. It's never good news anymore. And it seems to be the same old thing over and over again. It's almost become a joke. Oh, what has Trump done today? Kind of a thing. Oh, algae in the reflecting pond. Oh, bombing Iran again. Oh, threat on his life. Yay. Like all this stuff. But it's the same old, same old. So a lot of people find that very stressful. Get that. Yeah, for sure. And are just not bothering. But you want to know something? And I've said this one before. I really think people who don't pay attention to what's going on in the news are being foolish. We need to know. You can't stick your head in the sand. And, it's important that we're well informed because we need to fight back. Because who's going to fight for us? Right? Think about it. Our governments, well, not our government, but your government, if you're an American, suck majorly. So where do you get your news from it? How do you know what you're being told is right? Like I just said, they're saying that because all these flights are, that they don't believe these flights have been canceled, that we're not coming to the States. And they're saying that, in fact, they spin it to make it sound like it's coming back even better than before. Sounds like a Trump, doesn't it? What he says, oh, bigger and better all the time. We're not coming back. And any Canadian, and I want to say this to the people out there now, if you're a Canadian and you're traveling to the United States, you can stay there. You're a bloody traitor to our country, and I make no apology for that. In fact, the only excuse you might have is one, you've got a close relative that's dying that lives there, or you have to go there because your job makes you go there. But there's no other reason to travel to the United States in this environment right now at all. And if you're going down there, oh, we want to take the kids to Disneyland. Traitor. Take them to Canada's Wonderland.
Go to Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh, but it's so much cheaper if we go down there for a holiday. Well, you're an idiot because it's not cheaper given the exchange rate.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
And the gas price and everything like that. You're a traitor. Okay. Well, we're just going across the border for the day to pick up some groceries or a few things.
Well, actually, that's probably more expensive for you.
Yeah, probably. Traitor. You're traitors. Yeah, you are. So, good thing I'm not prime minister. I'd have you all publicly hanged for doing that. Yeah. And I've said it and I mean it. So, who do we trust? What are trusted sources? Okay. I watch the news every day, and my trusted source is the National. This is from the CBC. CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. The National is part of them. They report the news the way the news used to be reported, unbiased. Well, I'll qualify that. There's no such thing as completely unbiased news anymore because, news programs on TV or on the internet or whatever, they do rely upon advertising as well. And they do want to attract advertisers, except the thing with the CBC and the National is they get a lot of funding from our federal government. So they're not as reliant as other newscasts for advertising funds. So that's one thing you can believe. Now, are they influenced by the government? Well, they're not supposed to be, but I think they probably are to a certain extent. But generally speaking, they don't go in for sensationalism for the most part, and I trust them. I think what they're telling us is pretty much as
Well, I
close as you're
think
going to get to the truth.
with any kind of newscast, you have to, when it sounds a little too unbelievable, you might have to question it.
Yeah. And we're going to come to that. How do you know what you're seeing is the truth or not? Let's see. I'm just looking here. Some people have written a few things. Bonnie's here. Hi, Bonnie. Let's see. Rachel and Adam are talking about road work. Barb says, Steve and I agree we have all we need in Canada, no need to go to the US. Exactly. Yeah, and Rachel says, haha, that is so true. I think that's still back in what they're talking about on the roads. So hard to tell. Stay on topic, people. Okay, so that's one of the trusted sources I go to. But I basically get my news mainly from YouTube. Okay. Now I know you're going to say, well, YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, but it does serve a purpose in streaming like news programs. So another one that I go to that I find reliable, but this guy is a nut. Or he looks like a nut, but he's actually very, very smart. And this is called Klaus Kellerman is the guy's name. And you see his picture here. I mean, this hair and the way he looks like something that just crawled out of a back alley. But he does a lot of research. He looks at a lot of different sources for, the same story he's talking about. And he's very logical in the way he reports what he reports.
And he's doing it, of course, from a Canadian perspective.
Yes, from a Canadian perspective. These are all from a Canadian perspective because I'm not going to trust American ones. Well, that's not true. There are a couple. We'll come to that. So if you're a Canadian and you've never looked up Klaus Kellerman on YouTube, you should. Because he really he explains things very well too. Like some of the complicated things. I'm sure he's going to have a thing about the Gordie Howe Bridge very soon. He kind of takes the mystery and all the political language, and twists out of stuff and lays it down so that the common person can understand it. So I think he's very reliable. Another one that I'll turn to is Planet D. This is a couple, and they're like Klaus Kellerman, except they're not as wild looking. They do a lot of research. They go to reliable sources for their information, and they put things down in a way that is understandable. You've watched them before, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think they're very, very reliable. Now, they didn't start out as doing this kind of thing. They were a travel channel, weren't they?
Yeah, they're a travel channel.
And they're very well traveled. They're very well educated. Although sometimes the facial expressions, especially on the woman, are kind of weird at times, but very reliable. And now, this guy is American. He's now where we're starting to border a little bit more into sensationalism because he gets going about Trump or other politicians on there. And sometimes you wonder if he's exaggerating things. But he actually puts up on the screen where he got his information and he goes through it. And usually they're in the form of direct quotes from the principals involved in it, or video clips as well that he analyzes and talks about. But he's American, and he's definitely not a Trumper. He's definitely a Democrat.
Yeah, so you're getting a viewpoint of anti-Trump viewpoint.
Yeah. But he's American. So, you need a mixture of information from both sides of the border. This one, I think now borders much more on sensationalism.
Yeah, they're I started watching a few of them and I just stopped watching them because
Mm.
they twist everything left, right, and center. So
Yeah, not as bad as Fox News does, but they do twist things. Now, the thing about them is I think they have different reporters and they are on both sides of the border. So it depends. They're looking more for the sensationalism in the stories and what they can twist. Although at the heart of most of their stories, there is truth with it. But now we're leaning away from the, like the CBC, the national, which is very straight line. There it is. Now we're moving into the entertainment value that happens. And you can go on. I think that's the only one I've got a picture of. Oh, no. Then we have, okay, now this one I think is kind of almost the equivalent of the national, of the CBC, but this is American, MS Now.
now MS I think is tends to be more left
Yeah,
in the US.
yeah. They still do some twisting. They still pick on some of the more sensational news stories and things like that. But they are much more reliable, in my opinion, than something like Fox News or a whole bunch of others. Of course, the whole media is on the YouTube. You can find everybody is sprung up with,
Yeah,
you know,
because they get views, they get tons of views, and they're making money
and
from
it's
these
money
stories.
because they're
Yeah,
monetized. They get sponsorships and they also have advertising and stuff like that. Um, and the more they spin and make the news entertaining because they know people are sick and tired of watching all this crap, right? So they know to attract people, they have to do something that's going to make them stand out. And this is where you get the clickbait all the time from ones like that. Um, and they're basically, some of these ones are there just to stir up the pot. They're just there to stir up shit. Um, you know, because there's a lot of people out there, they know. They scan the social medias, and these armchair critics or warriors, whatever you want to call them, computer warriors, who get out there and just spew forth, from the top of their head as if it's the god awful truth, and it's not. And they play into that as well because that's their audience too. So, how do we know what is the truth? Well, we don't. First of all, is there such a thing as truth? Ever? Back in the day, in our parents' generation or when we were kids and you turned on the nightly news, we were led to believe that what we saw, with all they were reporting was the facts, nothing but the facts, ma'am, all the time. There wasn't a lot of sensationalism. They got on there. The news was boring, at least the way they delivered it. But you had people like Walter Cronkite. In Canada, who did we have? We must have had some that were, but you
yeah.
see, I didn't watch the news when I was a kid because it was boring.
Lloyd Robertson.
Oh, Lloyd Robertson, yeah, from the CBC. Yeah, these were tried, true, experienced.
Lloyd Robertson was CTV.
What's he, CTV?
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever. Canadian television. That's what CTV stands for. But you trusted them. They're the guys that came out, they sat behind a desk, they had a suit on, a tie, and everything like that. They didn't look like something that just crawled in from a bar somewhere to do the news. Well spoken, intelligent sounding, and we believed everything that came out of their mouths. Now, as the years went by, things became a little bit more sensationalized because there were more and more news networks on television, and again, the almighty dollar from advertising.
And they compete against each other.
Yeah, to get the advertising dollar. So they had to do something that was going to pull in an audience. I just said, when I was a kid, even when I was probably in my 20s or 30s, I didn't watch the nightly news. It was boring. I didn't care.
I know. And then there's the whole thing about, sometimes when report on something that has happened in the world, they'll show you stock footage, and they're
Yeah.
not showing you the actual footage from the country.
So there's another clue how you can tell whether or not the news is being spun. It's being altered in such a way to capture your attention as an audience. Look at the graphics they use. Now, sometimes, at least on TV, well, even on YouTube, we'll come back to that thought in a minute. On TV, if you watch carefully the news program, you might see up the screen file footage. What that means is it's old footage that they have archived, they saved, and they have pulled it up for this particular story. So when you see something getting blown up, a car bomb in the Middle East or something that wiped out a whole bunch of people and everything, and you may see file footage up there. That doesn't mean that's the actual situation. That is like what happened. They probably weren't standing there right at that moment when the bomb went off and were able to capture it on film. But our minds don't work that way. We think, oh my God, look at that. But you have to stand back and think about it and go, well, wait, what am I really seeing? When you see what they show a lot of now is drone footage of, the American Air Force, I guess, with the drones or whatever, blowing up sites in Iran. If you look at those very closely, you're going to see the same image repeated many times over. Yet what's lacking is there isn't anything that says this is file footage now. So is that exactly what happened? Yes, those drones are equipped with cameras. Obviously, that's how they fly them. So they know where they're going. So maybe it is. But you also see this word that comes across the screen. Unclassified. But this happened hours ago. Why did they suddenly release it? Because usually when we hear that things are classified or certain military operations and things like that, they don't let the general public see it because they don't want the enemy to get a hold of any of this footage or know what's going on or anything like that. But suddenly we have these images that come up unclassified. We can see it. You got to think about that. What's that really mean? I don't know. But I suggest to you that this is not quite the absolute truth. Oh, yes, they bombed. I mean, that's without doubt. But what we're actually seeing is that what's happening. And of course, they're only going to show you the stuff on the American side. They're only going to show you the stuff that suggests triumph, victory. They're not going to show you their failures. No, 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 no. That would suggest weakness to the enemy. So you got to question things like that. The other thing about YouTube is you've got to look at the source. Who is generating this information? And if you look at, down in the show notes that they have and underneath or the description, you will see weird names like Hot Media Now, or I don't know, there's some really weird ones out there. Right then that this does not sound like something you've heard of before. So it is probably, I hate to use the term, but it could be fake news. And speaking of fake news, AI. Now, if there's anything produced on YouTube, there's an agreement. YouTube has a thing. I have to check this box off every time I put up a video where I tell them, yes, part of my content is AI generated, or no, none of my content is AI generated. All content creators have to fill that out when we're uploading our stuff. Well, so do these other companies. So they're supposed to, if they check that little box that says AI generated, if you've ever noticed up in the top left-hand corner of your screen, it may say something like part of this is AI generated. But they're supposed to do that. That doesn't mean they do it all the time. So yeah, if you see something that says it's AI generated or looks like it's AI generated, which is getting very hard to distinguish from real stuff anymore, then it could be well, at the least, it's false information, or it's been twisted in such a way, for whatever purposes, to make it seem like it's real. We have to be very, um, what's the term? We have to be very skeptical about anything we see or hear anymore in the media, unfortunately. Um, then there's celebrity newscasts. Now, I told you about that Dollarman.
Dollarmore.
Yeah, Dollarmore. He always dresses. So let me get that screen up here again. Okay, if you look down here, his pictures, and here, he always appears dressed in a jacket, nice shirt, giving you the impression that he is very serious and very factual. That is contrived. He also uses virtual backgrounds to suggest that he's like in some place like Washington or something like that. He never says
He
that
also
he is.
has an announcer style voice.
Oh yeah, he's got a great voice for these kind of videos because he sounds he's very calm. He's not like some of them that are screaming at you all the time. No, he's got a voice for a newscaster, and I think he did come from a journalism background as well. I did read a little bit about his background, but I'm not sure how. I think he's got some experience in that, so he's not completely a fraud. And as I said, he is very good at explaining things, but he looks the part. And it's important that these people who do these kind of things look reliable. So, if you look up here at his picture, looks very different in this thumbnail picture of him than he does here. Here, his hair's longer. He's wearing a t-shirt. Doesn't quite look the same, does he? So that kind of questions, what his reliability in things. Some of them you'll see are complete. Like, unfortunately, this guy, I really wish he'd clean his act up. His hair
It
always
looks like the mad scientist.
Yeah, he looks like he's got bed hair all the time. He wears a t-shirt and a fleece, hoodie, jacket, whatever you want to call it, and that kind of thing. He doesn't really look like a reliable newscaster, but you have to judge by what comes out of his mouth. And what comes out of his mouth is I think, very well thought out and very well prepared. His voice, not quite as news anchorish as the other guy. Also, if you look up here, take a look at what they use as their banners. Okay, this would suggest a madman in some ways. So, yeah, but I believe that he is very reliable for his information. You just have to get over the way he looks. Now, on Fox News and that, have you ever looked at the ladies that are reporting? Okay, can we say a lot of Botox in those lips? And they all look like, how do you put it gently? Hookers. They're all wearing tight little dresses. They're all showing a lot of cleavage. They're all made up to the nines. And they look like something that, should be on a street corner somewhere. How reliable is that kind of thing? The women on the National, the ladies on the National, the female journalists, here they go. These are two of the principal journalists for the CBC News, the National. Here we have the tie, the jacket, the whole bit. And she is always nicely dressed, but business attire. You don't see cleavage with her. She doesn't have the pouty lips. And her makeup is what you would expect from a professional in the whole bit. So a lot of it is image. Look at the banner here, but look at the banner on some of these other ones. Okay. All of these things are an indicator of whether or not what you're about to see you can trust. You have to think about this. There's signs of this. Yeah. Anything else that you need to watch for? Go down into the show notes. A lot of people do not expand the show notes box that are on some of these. You should expand the show notes box or the description box, whichever one you what you call it, and look at what's in there. This is where you'll see sponsorships. You will also see them flaunting products. Now, those ones, this one, this one, this one, this one, all have products. Most of them are t-shirts and mugs that you can get that have a slogan on them. You know, the True North or whatever, North Strong, all that kind of stuff that you can buy. So they are doing this to make money as well. Although I don't think that's their principal concern, not like some of the other ones that are up there. So these are all indicators as to, you know, reliability. So this brings up another question, but before we look at that question, let's just take a look and see what comments there are here that we may need to discuss. Okay, so let's go back here. M says, I noticed CBC that they have been soft on, you know, certain country. I won't mention here. Yes, M. We know they have been soft on China because we're making a business deal with them. I know where you're coming from and why you're saying that, and I'm not going to say that they're not. But all news programs, even the national, are influenced by the government to a certain extent. Remember, I told you the CBC is funded by the federal government and other agencies of governments. There may even be some funding from the provinces as well. I don't know. So, you know, they do have to look at what they're saying, which brings up the whole question of censorship that I want to get to as well. But before we do that, let's look at other comments. Lawrence O'Donnell's really good. You watched Lawrence O'Donnell?
Yeah,
I've watched him.
Yeah,
he's pretty good. Katie says, what's sad is when tourists from the you know where come to Greenland and inform a Greenlander it's going to become the 51st state and the fjords are going to be crawling with their military. Yeah, I know. Right now, he's back on the kick about taking over Greenland again. I think he has found out that we are a little bit more resilient and strong than when he thought Canada was going to be a pushover. So now he's picking on Greenland, but I don't think Greenland's going to be a pushover either.
No.
At least according to Denmark, it's not. And so good for you. Keep up the fight, Greenland. Barb says, have they caught the suspects in the Toronto shooting? As far as this morning, I know, nope, they haven't said they have. They're still looking for them. Shadowwind says, Stephen, I live in Florida, 45 minutes from Disney World. In 2026, I still haven't seen any Canadian plates. No, and you shouldn't. And if you do, offer them room and lodge and tell them they can stay with you forever.
I did have a friend that went to Disneyland in 2025, and the only reason she went is it was bought and paid for, and she didn't want to cancel it. So,
yeah. Barb says, that's a long drive from Canada. Most would fly to Florida. Yeah, they would in the good days, but not anymore. Layla,
we've driven to Florida.
We've done it too. It's a long drive.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. What is it? 1,600?
About 18 hours.
18 hours. So
from where we live.
Yeah. Rachel says, in the UK, when I was younger, we had couple news programs for kids. John Craven News Round did proper news features, but aimed at kids for us to understand. Yeah, we've had a few things like that in Canada too over the years as well. I don't know if there's such a thing anymore, but probably a lot of parents don't really want their kids to watch the news. I mean, if I was a parent, I don't think I'd want my kids sitting in front of a television watching people getting blown up. Although, mind you, they have video games that do that. So, you know, there's that whole question of desensitizing. Carol So says, have you checked out Brian Taylor Cohen and Aaron Parnaz?
I don't recall Aaron Parnaz, but Brian Taylor Cohen sounds familiar.
Yep, I haven't. No. So the answer is Walter has. I have not. Dana says, did man really land on the moon? Well, yeah, there's always that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesse Dollarmar lives in Washington, D.C. Yeah, okay, so that explains why he'll use a backdrop showing the Capitol building or the White House or whatever. Yeah. Um, Katie says, yeah, we, the Greenlandic people, will not capitulate to that charlatan. Nope, and you shouldn't, and don't. Don't. I mean, we support you as Canadians because we know what you're going through. Um, Randy says, our reporters hold our politicians accountable. The U.S., I'm not so sure. Yeah, that's a good point, Randy. There was a...
This guy is Brian Taylor Kwan.
Oh, ooh, he's cute.
Yeah,
Maybe we should start watching him.
I have seen him as well.
Yeah, that's how I judge my reporters. If they're cute, they have my vote. Yeah. Not really. But that what Randy was saying here, our reporters hold our politicians accountable. The U.S., I'm not so sure. There is what's his name? That's the U.S. ambassador, Hoekstra, who has been doing nothing but mean mouthing us left and right every chance he gets. He's an ignorant bastard, to say the least. And so he's had a couple of interviews with a couple of our reporters, and one was over the Gordie Howe Bridge and everything like that. And they pressed him on the issue about, well, why should the Americans think that they have any say over when we open the bridge and stuff like that? Well, he kind of deflected it and he kept saying, well, Canadians have been very nasty to us and unfair and all this stuff, echoing the words of Trump, of course. The reporter did not let him off the hook. He kept pressing him for answers to his questions. And he got visibly upset.
Because part of the guy that owns the Ambassador Bridge also funded some of his political backing as well.
Yeah, and so when the reporter actually brought that up, and he didn't know what to say, and it looked good. He squirmed, and you know that if you notice, there are some reporters in the early days of Trump's second administration there who tried to bring Trump to task about stuff. And he just turned around and he'd tell them to shut up. You don't know what you're doing. You're stupid, the whole bit. And he kicked them out of the Washington press pool or whatever they call that. You know, the ones who have the inside into the White House and stuff like that. That was his answer to stuff, which I don't think is very diplomatic, to say the least, and also doesn't give you a lot of what's the word for it? Credibility either. So yes, our reporters are good at doing this kind of thing. They do it to our own politicians as well.
Also, our negotiators for the Kuzma and everything else are very firm.
Mm-hmm.
And the U.S. politicians don't like that.
Yeah. So, you know, and that is the job of the Fifth Estate. And the Fifth Estate is the term for the reporters, for journalism. Their job is to bring people to task. They ask the hard questions and they're looking for the hard answers out of it all. But of course, as politicians, as we know on both sides of the border, they're very good at avoiding the main question and deflecting. I mean, that's one thing Trump's really good at, distraction, for sure.
Yeah, because if he's asked a question that's too hard for him to answer, he completely talks about something else.
Yeah, all the time. So, yeah. Now, the thing, too, is if this was our prime minister, if Trump was our prime minister, oh, my God, have nightmares over that one. What was it? He was talking about Iran. He said Japan.
Well, he called it the Islamic Republic of Japan.
Of Japan. And nobody corrected him. I mean, okay, Putin doesn't get corrected a lot either, but Putin sends them off to Siberia or whatever, or they disappear.
However, if our prime minister had done something like that, he gets corrected immediately.
Oh, he'd be, yeah, right immediately. The reporters would right in there. And, you know, I think that is the job of the news media. I think the news media should hold public figures accountable. Make them squirm. Make them squirm. I mean, Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, I mean, the one thing I agree with Doug Ford is do not put that American liquor, no matter what, until we get this whole tariff thing settled and whatnot. Do not put that back on the shelves. And he says he's not going to do that. But then he's under scandal for everything else. I mean, the man is a jerk. He's kind of a Trump in training, but he's not good at it. And the media brings him to accountability all the time. And then he crawls away for a while and he tries to deflect, or he gets one of his cronies to answer for him. And they say the same thing, well, we're looking into that. And they always fall back on, we've put millions of dollars into healthcare and this, and we've they throw statistics out all the time. And well, Trump throws statistics out too that are all fake. The thing with Trump is he doesn't know when to stop with the statistics. He gets a little too elaborate. Oh, there were millions of Americans who turned out for the great 250th anniversary state fair or whatever. Then they show pictures and there's like 3 people and a sad clown. I mean, and that clown was probably Trump. Like in our country, it's a little bit different. Thank God for that. And any Canadians that refuse to believe that they are living in a great country and that we have reasonable people for the most part governing our country, and that things would be better if they went to the States, I say, can I help you pack? Bye-bye. Because you are not a Canadian. And unfortunately, I'm looking at Alberta separatists right now. I know that'll get a few goats on here, but so what? Too bad. So sad. On that. Let's see. Yeah, no other comments there on all of that. So I guess the bottom line of all this is the media a friend or a foe? Well, it depends on your take on it and who you go to for your information. I think in this day and age right now with what's going on, we have to be very careful about what we hear. We have to be skeptical about, and no matter what the source is, we need to be skeptical. We cannot be like lemmings and led to the edge of the cliff to jump over. Okay? We have to second think everything. And we have the knowledge to be able to do that. We are people, especially people in our age groups now, like people in my age group, Walter's age group, he is younger. Not by much.
And I'll be younger for sure on Tuesday.
Oh, bite me. But we're not stupid. People, generally speaking, for the most part, are not stupid. What's stupid is when we believe everything is the god-awful truth, that's the way it is, and we get sucked in by that. We must remain critical and skeptical. And that's when I taught media to the high school kids. That was the first thing I taught them before we even got into the course. That you have to come to all of this stuff just because it's on TV, just because there's graphics. And I mean, that was back, I've been not teaching for 14 years. So, now it's even worse. But to question everything. Do your own research from multiple sources. Don't believe the first thing you hear, no matter how good it might sound. And when I say how good it may sound to you, how much it may play into what you want to hear. Because then you're your own worst enemy with that. Okay, so let's see. Layla says, I get my news from my local DC NPR. Very balanced coverage that is targeted for the region. Okay, so you see, again, you obviously are being skeptical.
Yeah, just because we listen to maybe a reliable source for news does not mean that I believe everything that's being said on
No.
it. I'll still do my own research and stuff like that to see what else I can find out about it, but I still don't necessarily believe everything that's been told by any politician or anybody. Just
Yeah. So maybe they did fake the moon landing, Dana.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe we do need to be skeptical about that. Personally, I don't care one way or the other. You know, moon, chunk of rock, yay. Well, I guess there might be minerals, I think there, or whatever, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But I guess so. I hope I got our point across. You can so.
However, I don't think the Earth is flat.
No, I don't believe that one either. You know, there are some things. Although I'm not so sure about the reptilians. That could be, you know, you never know about that. But that also brings up one other point too. Is what we are seeing on YouTube, no matter who you follow or watch, is it a form of censorship? In other words, what is censorship? Is censorship the omission of certain facts to convince you that a certain point of view is the correct point of view? Yes. Is censorship something that takes what has happened and spins it, twists it around to create a certain specific outcome or perception in your mind? Yes. Do news programs do this? All of them, no matter
Like
where the source is.
weather reports.
Yes.
It's the storm of the century.
Yeah. All of that. Yes, that is all a form of censorship. And we're bombarded with it every day. 24/7. Can't escape it. I guess we have to do our own form of a type of censorship. What can we believe and what can we live with and what can't we believe and what can't we live with? And if we can't live with something, what are we going to do about it? We're just going to let it sit there, or are we going to do more research and find out and try as best we can to find. We have tools for this, you know. The internet's a great tool for seeking out the truth. You just have to use them. Just don't click on Google and the first thing that comes up, you believe. All right? Because otherwise you're going to own a lot of swampland somewhere that doesn't exist. Barb says, there was a time many years ago that CNN had the viewer numbers in their hands when it was 24-hour news. Yeah, they did. But again, skepticism. You have to be skeptics. Okay, so anything else we want to talk about that? No, I don't think so. Anything you want to add today? Anything bugging us? So next week, who knows what's going to be in the news? I mean, they're talking already. I don't know if this is true or not. You know, because they showed some footage of the Iranians, paying their respects to the death of their Ayatollah there that Trump blew up real good. Kill Trump. Well, you can't be more blatant than that. But AI could have generated that big banner. And why was it written in English? There were posters too, written in English. Why was that? I mean, I'm sure there are many people in Iran who can speak English, know English, but why were the majority of their posters written in English? Because they're not trying to convince American people to kill Trump. They're trying to convince their own people and rally them to do that. So wouldn't it have been better if it would have been in their own language? Wouldn't that have been more effective? I'm being skeptical. This is what I'm saying. Saw the image. It was on a video from a news program. It's got to be true. Is it? Interesting. Think about it. Katie says, what you just mentioned actually happened. We have reliable news over here about that. What did I just mention?
Is it the Kill Trump thing?
The Kill Trump thing?
It says in English so Americans could read the threats.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be. But how do you know that for sure? You're speculating. Right? This is what our minds do. This is what the news does for us. It lets us fill in the blanks. Because I did not see anything anywhere that said that for sure, that this was all, that's why it was
Or is
written in
it
English.
being reported? Is it being reported in the U.S. to get the sympathy thing for Trump or whatever, or what, for whatever reason?
And Katie says, yes, Carol, exactly. They wanted English people to read it. How do you know that? What's your source? Where did you figure that? Well, how did that come about? Where's the truth in that? Where was that reported? See what I'm doing? I'm being skeptical. Greenlanders also post things in English during their protests so that English people can speak it. Okay, that's how Greenland does. Does Iran do that? How do you know? Is that a policy in Iran? I don't know. Do you know? Damn it. Read it. I was at a protest. I was at a protest.
See, that's your opinion.
That's your opinion. I'm playing devil's advocate with you, Katie. I'm saying we have to question what we know. Why do we know it? You know that how? That's a good one. I used to use that one with the kids.
Well, it tastes like ass.
You know, or they came
How
and
do you know that?
This classroom smells like ass. And you know that how? See? I'm just saying. We have to be skeptical about things. We can't accept everything at face value, no matter how convincing it may seem. And when we start to do that, I believe that we will get at least a little closer to the truth. And we're not going to be lemmings. We're just not going to believe everything because it's in print or it has a video graphic or something like that. Yeah. So food for thought. Then again, I might be spinning it. I might be manipulating you. Would I do that?
Buy more fabric.
Buy more fabric. Yeah. Eat more chicken. I don't know. That's Chick-fil-A's thing. Anyways, before we go away, let's leave it on a fun note here. Just thought of this when I said Chick-fil-A. Okay, Chick-fil-A, if you're American, you know what Chick-fil-A is because they're all over the States. In the last couple of years, we've gotten a few up here. We stayed away from the Chick-fil-A for the longest time, mainly because it's American
and their Christian values.
And their Christian values, which, yeah. But anyways, we finally broke down and went, and now we're kind of regulars.
Well, that's because we like their salad.
We like their salad, and I love their milkshakes. Okay, they make good milkshakes. But they also hire Canadians there, and there's always good service and friendly. But there was a sign on their door that on my birthday, on July the 14th, that's when my birthday is, Tuesday, if you come in dressed as a cow, you get a free entree. I'm wondering how many people are going to do that. I mean, maybe we need to go for lunch on Tuesday and see if anybody shows up. Am I going to dress up as a cow? No. But, I mean, I thought, that's kind of fun.
It's utterly delightful.
It's utterly delightful. But there you go. How many people will show up as cows just for a free sandwich? I don't know. Hello, Denise. And goodbye, Denise. We're leaving. We're over. You can catch it on the replay. But anyways, thought I'd leave you with that note. Maybe we'll drive by there on Tuesday or something.
See how many cows are hanging.
See how many cows are hanging out at the Chick-fil-A. Yeah. Okay, everybody. So that's it for us today. Thank you for joining us and everything like that. And next week, catch me tomorrow for Monday morning coffee with Stephen. Yeah, it'll probably be long. I have a tendency to go long on that. And Tuesday for the Idiot Quilter, and Friday for So Chatty. And I think we're going to talk on So Chatty because this came from yesterday from the Pop-Up Sew Day. That we should talk about mystery blocks and blocks of the month kind of things. And I do actually have some thoughts about that. We do have thoughts about that. So that may be the topic this week. And then we'll be back here. So let's see. Barb says, what does a cow have to do with a chicken place?
Well, if you see their advertisement, they show a picture of a cow and it says eat more chicken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
On that. So that's their whole logo. You know,
Yeah.
it's advertising. Denise says they're now putting antibiotics in their chickens. It was reported this week. Yeah, who reported that, Denise? What was the source? How reliable is it? How do you
I
know
don't
that
know.
for sure?
They might be using Canadian chickens here.
Oh, maybe. We do not inject our chickens here. So I don't know. Good. They won't get the sniffles. Anyways, everyone have a good week, and we'll see you all later. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Say goodbye, Walter. Did you say goodbye?